Yeah, it just doesn't seem to make sense. And, you know, Rev, I mean, when you're preaching, I mean, you need a message that's not going to put the people in the choir behind you asleep. And, you know, this Biden crime family and Hunter Biden's laptop and this, that. As we say, if he's guilty of a crime, arrest him, charge him. And if a jury convicts him, so be it.
Looks like the clowns at MSNBC are back at it once again. If they didn't have double standards, they would probably have no standards. So unfortunately, we have to sit through Joe Scarborough and his terrible wife sitting here lecturing us about how all these things about Joe Biden are just nothing stories. They always turn out that way. Golly, the FBI and the media just don't really seem interested in this. I wonder why. That's actually what they're going to say. But not before they talk about how wonderful it is that Joe Biden fell down.
And President Joe Biden made a lot of headlines last week during a graduation ceremony. Yikes, it looked like it really hurt, but he seems fine.
He's great. He had a little fall. And in fact, they aren't even the worst on this. They have a guest coming on later that we're not going to play, but I wanted to share this just to show you what frauds these people are.
It inspired a new piece from one of our next guests calling the Biden two-step. We'll dig into that. Plus, we could learn what, if anything, the FBI has for House Republicans today as they continue to dig for alleged dirt on the president and his family.
You know that
alleged dirt. Just like the alleged Hunter Biden laptop, right? You guys told us over and over again how that wasn't true. And there was no Hunter Biden laptop, and this was all just some sort of conspiracy theory Republicans were chasing. Oh, wait, that was 100% correct. I mean, you guys wouldn't go back and start talking about the laptop again, would you? No? Okay, so the FBI didn't want to respond to subpoenas, and you're cool with that now. Oh, okay. All right, cool.
it's just not going well.
Well, I don't think it's ever. My point is, I've made it last week, but it doesn't work. I mean, keep digging. Well, but it doesn't work. People don't. It's not me. I don't think people respond to this as.
It's not me. I care very much. Keep digging, please. Keep doing it. It's very important. I care, and I'm interested in what they find. But the American people, they don't care. We care very much, but you should still stop. Totally believable. Just like Mika Brzezinski's marriage vows.
Yeah,
it must be done.
The thing is, and they're being called out now by Fox News hosts. You actually have, Patty K, you actually have Chuck Grassley, one of the most senior members in the United States Senate, when pressed about this supposed document that everybody's talking about, and that it could exonerate the president. Grassley goes, we don't care if he's innocent or not. And that's again, Michael Kinsley's definition of a gaffe, where somebody in Washington accidentally tells the truth. We have that.
Sure, if you ignore what he actually meant and said, he's saying we don't care if it exonerates him, but we still want to see the document. It's not that we don't care if it exonerates him, we're still going to go after him and pretend that he's like a Russian asset or something. It happened on MSNBC regularly with these three same sad clowns. All they're missing is the makeup. Well, okay, the red nose. They're all wearing makeup.
Time and time again, in whether it's the Durham investigation, whether it's the Comey investigation, these people keep humiliating themselves, and it's left to the Wall Street Journal editorial page to try to clean it up for them. But even
so, the Durham investigation, which found that the FBI was targeting Donald Trump, leaking stuff to the press, and going after things long after they should have been dropped, that shows that they shouldn't look into this. In the Comey investigation, he was hyper-political and hyper-partisan, so I don't understand why you think that exonerates you. But just listen, these are their defenses of their behavior and saying nothing to see here with Joe Biden, nothing to see at all.
And they're saying there's no smoking gun.
Yeah, and coming out on top of the committee chair who said that this was good for ratings.
They never said there was no smoking gun. They're looking to see the information as to see why they didn't pursue this. They're not saying there is no smoking gun. They're saying there is a person who's a whistleblower who says there is a smoking gun. They want to see why they didn't pursue that. Why are these guys lying about this?
You wonder what the impetus is. I mean, Mitika's right. When you look at all of the polling, certainly heading into the 2022 midterm elections, the idea of investigating the Biden family didn't rank anywhere. I literally didn't see it anywhere in the top 10 polling issues that people were concerned about, and yet it seems to be something that certain members of Congress in the Republican Party are very focused on. And obviously, you know, if crimes have been committed, then they should be investigated and they'll be found. But I think the
if crimes have been committed, they should be investigated and they should be found. That is what they are investigating here. Why that didn't happen. And it's funny, they keep saying, well, if there's a crime, it should be investigated. If there's a crime, it should be investigated. It's the same thing they said about the Hunter Biden laptop after saying it was Russian misinformation, excuse me. That's the exact same thing they said and they were wrong about that. Yet here they go again. For a group of people that keep saying they sure want to see what's in this and they want more information, it's odd that they keep saying that they should stop looking for it.
Report found that there wasn't the smoking gun that certainly Donald Trump had been hoping for, and there didn't seem to be any indication. We haven't seen it yet. So it's not something that resonates with the American public. So
I hate to keep stopping it, but we haven't seen the smoking gun. It's something we haven't seen yet. The FBI director would not even give the document we're talking about to Congress when they subpoenaed it. So how is someone supposed to leak it to you guys? Y'all are in the same protection racket where Joe Biden needs to be protected at all costs. And you're saying because nobody leaked any dirt to you because they're trying to protect him, that there must not be any dirt. That's not journalism. That's swamp politics.
Maybe Republicans think that if they carry on with these committees, I don't quite know what the political rationale is, because they haven't been resonating. You haven't seen this creep up in polling around what issues people are concerned about. So I'm not quite sure why they're continuing to spend quite so much time on it.
The entire narrative here is that you shouldn't pay attention to it because the American people don't care. And the American people don't care because the media doesn't care. And the media doesn't care because they're in the Joe Biden protection racket. So if we don't cover it and we downplay it the entire time, the American people won't want to know anything about it. So then we have a justification for downplaying it and not covering it. This is just terrible arguments all around. I don't even know why they're talking about this.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to make sense. And, you know, Rev, I mean, when you're preaching, I mean, you need a message that's not going to put the people in the choir behind you asleep. And, yeah.
As Joe Biden looks like he's about to fall asleep right now.
This Biden crime family and the Hunter Biden's laptop and this, that.
The Hunter Biden laptop was real. Why are you using that as an example? It has a myriad of crimes on it that they didn't go into, and you're using that as an example as to why not to investigate. Because they didn't investigate the Hunter Biden laptop properly. Holy cow. These people are awful.
We say, if he's guilty of a crime, arrest him, charge him, and if a jury convicts him, so be it. But all these things about like the Biden crime family, this, that, the other, they keep pushing and they keep finding absolutely nothing.
Kind of like the 7 years of Trump Russia, right? Only in that case, you were worried that Republicans weren't reacting enough to the lack of information and that they would be held accountable for not going after Donald Trump. Now, in fact, you were probably right there, but that was your entire argument while all that was going on. And it wasn't that Republicans were not sitting on television saying, no, we don't care one bit. They were saying, show us the information. Show us what you got. Let's go after him. Stop leaking and let's see what you actually have here. Charge him. And they never did because they didn't have anything. But the people sitting here were completely fine with that. Their whole thing about House Republicans called out for double standard Biden investigation. This is all about how the Republicans are reacting to it. Just like with the Donald Trump stuff. It was all about how Republicans reacted to it as opposed to what was actually the issue. Republicans are mad that the FBI and the CIA and the entire United States government fabricated a case against Donald Trump that was complete BS. But the story was how mad Republicans are against it. In this case, There is actual meat on the bone here with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And now you guys are mad that Republicans want to look into it. You know the Republicans are going to found to be right on this, right? That there is something nefarious afoot here. Okay, I just want to make sure we all get that.
And it ends up at the end of the day just being an embarrassment for them. And as Caddy said, most Americans just don't care about this unless you're the wife of a Supreme Court justice that's talking about putting the Biden crime family on barges outside of Gitmo.
Absolutely. And when you see no response and you keep pushing something that you can't really bring anything out that would be even something perceived as a smoking gun, it takes away from the credibility of things you may want to bring in the future that may get a reaction. So to me, how tone deaf they are, that people aren't.
They're very concerned about the Republicans' ability to make the argument that Joe Biden and his family are corrupt. Because the corruption they're calling out now isn't good enough. So what about the corruption they're going to call out later? Is that what the guy who doesn't pay his taxes is trying to tell us, the race hustler, Al Sharpton? And I would also make the argument that you guys went after Donald Trump again for 7 years. Does that make the arguments you're now making in Atlanta, New York, and D.C. any less valid? I don't think it does. I never thought what you were talking about the first go-round about Russian assets and all this other nonsense was valid, and it wasn't. But didn't stop these guys from talking about it. And now they're saying, hey, unless it's on the front page of the New York Times, it's not real. Well, y'all had it on the front page of the New York Times. You talked about it every day on MSNBC, and guess what? It wasn't real.
I'm tuned in. If I'm preaching, not only is the choir sleeping behind me, they start snoring.
They're probably burning in hell because that's where you're actually preaching. What a disaster. What is this? This guy's a con man. He's not a preacher.
Might want to get a different message.
So here's what Republican Senator Chuck Grassley said last Thursday that Joe just referenced. Take a look.
You talked to the FBI Director Christopher Wray on the phone yesterday, right? And you're trying to get a look at this document. From what I understand, he says you're okay to come to the Bureau and look at it. Is that the case, and is that good enough for you?
Well, it's not good enough for me. We asked for the document a month ago. It's been subpoenaed. He ought to respond to a subpoena. We're doing the constitutional job of oversight. I have read that document. If he would read it, and it's an unclassified document, he admits it exists, and we aren't interested in whether or not the accusations against Vice President Biden are accurate or not. We're responsible for making sure the FBI does its job.
Again, a gaffe.
What?
A gaffe.
A gaffe?
A gaffe in Washington when you accidentally tell the truth.
Well,
and you.
The idea here that he's saying he thinks Joe Biden is innocent, but he's going to pursue it anyway, is just such a lie. Joe Biden is not being alleged to be innocent here. And what a dishonest group of terrible monsters. Grassley is not saying, I don't care if he's innocent. I still want to get him. What he's saying is that's not what we're talking about. We want to see the document. And these two liars are making a completely different argument that they're saying they don't care if they're innocent or not. That's not what's happening here. And they act like they're better than everyone by making that argument. They're not. They're just idiots. It's embarrassing.
You don't mean to.
So that was
Jonathan
last
O'Meara.
Thursday.
That's exactly what Chuck Grassley just did there, where he's acting shocked and stunned. Then he admits he's already seen the document. And then he admits that Biden hasn't done anything wrong. And
he didn't admit that. He didn't even remotely say that. He said that's not the point of the subpoena. Good God, how do you do this without getting sued? What in the world?
that this is just all showbiz. This is all political gesturing. This is all raising the... And again, it's what Durham did.
Yep.
Made a fool of himself. It's exactly what Comey's been doing, where he's got absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And here's Grassley. Now they're talking about this document. We need the document. This is horrible. This is the worst thing ever. Well, but he said you could come look at the document. I've already seen the document. Okay, and what? Well, it doesn't matter if he didn't do anything or not, or whether the accusations were lies. I mean, again, these people just keep making fools of themselves.
Look, projection, you're the one making a fool of yourself. First off, it's Comer, not Comey. And now I realize what he's talking about when he was saying Comey earlier. He's talking about James Comer, the congressman from Kentucky. And nobody said it doesn't matter if it's all lies or not. That is a lie. And Joe Scarborough's dishonesty here is pretty apparent. Holy cow.
Why don't they talk about inflation? Why don't they talk about the rising cost of rent? Why don't they talk about the southern border? Why don't they talk about crime? Why don't they talk about quality of life? Like, why don't they lead with that? Because this Biden stuff is getting them nowhere.
They did lead with all that. They led with crime and inflation and rising costs, all sorts of stuff. And you guys sat there on national television and said none of that stuff mattered. This is from you. You guys have set the tone here. We're going to put Donald Trump in jail. We're going to go after Donald Trump. And now the flip side is happening, and y'all don't like it. The only difference is there are actual crimes here. Nobody said we don't care if he's innocent or not. That's a Joe Scarborough lie.
And poll after poll after poll suggests American people just don't care. And Senator Grassley gave up the game right there, made it clear this is about politics. So that was last Thursday. And then yesterday, a House Republican on the committee investigating the Biden family's business dealings was called out over a double standard when it comes to the probes into the president.
We can talk about the double standard. We're going to, but just look how smug these people are. You're wrong on everything. You're a Democrat show trying to get Democrats elected. So you're dismissing everything that happens. And you're smug about it. I love it. No shame. Fantastic.
Fox News Oversight Committee member Pat Fallon was discussing a document that Republicans hope to obtain today that they say contains allegations that Joe Biden committed financial crimes in his time as vice president. Despite not yet seeing the document, Fallon was adamant yesterday that it could implicate Biden in a crime, yet he seemed to brush off the possibility of the same unseen document exonerating the president.
If it disproves or dispels suspicions and allegations, will that exonerate then Vice President Biden?
Oh, no, not at all, because it's just one document. It's an FD 1023. It's one claim. There's so many others.
Is the FBI credible? Let me finish. Either when the agency is investigating the former vice president or the former president, is the FBI and its sources credible?
Of course you hope so, but you also don't want to see a two-tier justice system.
So, Congressman, I mean, you're doing a really good job of sort of squirming around my questions. And what I see you setting up, hang on, let me finish, please, sir. Okay. What I see you setting up, quite frankly, is that if this document doesn't give you the evidence that you're looking for, then you're going to keep digging. Even if it does, you're going to keep digging. So it seems like no matter what is in this document, no matter what the FBI does or doesn't do, they're political.
In this particular instance, we will be fair, and as I think we always are.
Wow.
Now that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it, everybody. You go in and you ask questions, and you draw your own conclusions, and you don't care. That's basically it. And you say that there's nothing to see here at all, and then you whine about everyone else having double standards when your double standard is surely on display right here. I can tell you about double standards. I don't have any. I said from the very beginning when Donald Trump was being investigated, go after him, nail him, go, get him if you can, and let the chips fall where they may. I thought Donald Trump was wrong for the way he pushed Jeff Sessions out. I thought Donald Trump was wrong for the way he treated all of this. He should have let the chips fall where they may, and the same thing should happen here. But the people talking about having double standards, they're the ones who had double standards. These two, Scarborough and Brzezinski, these are the ones that have double standards. These are the guys that decided everything they had said in the past doesn't matter. And they're lying. They're taking information you're seeing and telling you it says something else. Neither of those guys said it doesn't matter what's in that document. If the document making an allegation exonerates him, it doesn't even make any sense. Nobody is arguing that this document exonerates him of crimes. It's a stupid question. And it was answered perfectly fine. You sit back and you watch this stuff and you wonder why our political discourse is as bad as it is. It's because this is just defense. That's all it is. They're not interested in getting to the bottom of anything. So they malign the integrity of the people they disagree with while showing they have no integrity at all. These are some terrible, awful, no good people. And here's the best part about it. When Hunter Biden and Joe Biden do, in fact, find themselves in some legal hot water, these two will pretend it doesn't matter because the American people don't care. That's what they will say over and over and over again. That's why you saw everyone on the show make the exact same argument. KDK, Mika Brzezinski, Joe Scarborough, Al Sharpton, and Jonathan Lemire. You will notice every single person on this show, Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, KDK, Al Sharpton, and Jonathan Lemire all made the same argument. Oh, this doesn't matter. Oh, this doesn't matter. The American people don't care. The American people don't care. They're not trying to get to the bottom of this. They're trying to win a political argument. They're trying to keep Joe Biden in power. They're trying to make sure that the Biden crime family doesn't have to pay to account. That's all this is about. Because they're all tied up in that because they hate Donald Trump and Republicans so much that it doesn't matter what the other side does. It's okay. And they will defend it to the end. And they've brought up the Hunter Biden laptop yet again as if it's a fake thing. They're bringing up this document as if it's a fake thing. We know neither thing is fake. They don't want to get to the bottom of it. They just want to end the conversation so they can get back to Republicans are evil. And this bullshit that these guys are saying right now about, talk about the border, talk about inflation, talk about this other stuff. They don't care about that stuff. They've never cared about it. In fact, they've downplayed it every time anyone's brought it up.